In just a few days, I was able to pass not just one Topstep X combine, but two with one simple strategy. Here's the trade that I took to pass the first combine with Topstep, and then here's the trade that I took to pass the second combine. In both of these trades, you're gonna see me trading VWAP. One was a fairly rangy day, so I'm trading it as a range. The other one was a nice trending day, so I traded it as a trend. Now, not long ago, I was in a lot of your shoes to where I was struggling to get these evals across the line. I could run it up to about within $500 of getting the account passed, and then I'd just lose it all, fumbling the bag. But recently, I've been finding a lot of success in being able to pass combines, and I've been able to stack up at least 5 funded accounts right now across Top 1 Futures and Topstep X. So now that I'm able to pass these combines with ease, what has changed? What am I doing differently that I wasn't doing before that's now allowing me to get these combines across the line fairly easily? I kid you not, the thing I've been doing differently is just been keeping things simple. I'm not overcomplicating strategies. I'm not overcomplicating my technical analysis, nor am I overcomplicating my risk management. I'm keeping things simple across the board. With strategy, I'm trading VWAP. With technical analysis, I'm analyzing the 1 hour chart, marking off some levels, and then I'm analyzing the lower time frames. It's that simple. I want to see how price reacts around these areas of interest, which are pretty much areas around VWAP. And if buyers or sellers show me that they're in control around those areas, I'll then enter and trade depending on the direction I want to take the trade into. If I look back as to why I was struggling so much of just being able to pass a Topstep X combine or even any combine in general, it's because I was overcomplicating things. Every single week, I would have new risk parameters. One week, I'd be risking $500 a trade. The next week, impatience would seep into me, and I'd be risking like $1,500 a trade, losing the account and like 2 losing trades. So here's my advice. If you're a beginner and you've never passed an evaluation, take your time. Don't waste your money in trying to quickly get the accounts passed and have to paying a bunch of money in resets, or even have to paying a bunch of money in the activation fees, and then you end up losing your funded account anyway. Be sure to take your time in the very first time you're planning on passing an evaluation account. If you've never passed an eval account with realistic risk parameters, you shouldn't be going crazy or guns blazing in these eval stages. If you're trading a 50K combine account, I want you to risk $200 a trade. That's what helped me, because that proved to me that I can pass this 50K combine making $3,000 in profit with only risking $200 per trade. And yeah, it took me a little bit of time. It took me a couple weeks to do that. But at the end of the day, at least you're proving to yourself that you are a good trader. You didn't just get lucky of, having 3 winning trades and ups, you passed the combine. With taking this slowed approach, you're not only going to learn more about yourself as a trader, but you're going to strengthen your own strategy and your own psychology as a trader. So that way you're more confident in yourself. Because, listen, you can know all about trading you want, but if you don't have the confidence to see your trades through, the confidence to even take trades without having any delayed entries, then you're kind of out of luck. But that's my first piece of big advice to any beginner traders, because I was not so long ago in your shoes. I could not pass a combine for the life of me until I got that impatience out of my head. And it was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to take my time with this combine, because if I can't take my time with this combine, how am I going to get a payout if I can't even pass a simple combine with proper risk parameters? Because you're not going to be slinging a funded account unless you're loco. So I don't want to do the same with my first time passing a combine. But let's put a quick pause on that topic just so we can go over some strategy and technical analysis. Remember when I said I liked to keep things simple, and that's the change that I needed to make in order to easily pass these combines? Well, this is exactly what I mean by that. So if we look here, pre-market analysis starts off because I want to have a plan going into the day. I want to look at the 1 hour chart because, in simple terms, it's a lot easier for me to catch a 15-minute winning trade if I'm looking at what price has been doing on an hourly basis. And that's why I like the 1 hour chart, because here I can identify some key levels, some higher highs, higher lows, and I can also identify zones of resistance. So this is April the 25th. This is the day to where we pass the first Top Step combine. And basically, what are we identifying here? Well, we're kind of identifying that we do have some type of resistance area here that could potentially turn into support. So if buyers want to hold here, that'll be great because we have a nice fair value gap right here, as we can see. And this is ideally where we want buyers to step in. With the first trade we're taking, again, like I said, we're trying to get a long position. And we take a long position right around the open. But the only thing that kind of caused this trade to be losing trade for me was that we had this level of resistance up here at the daily VWAP. If we are going to be winning this trade, we need to see buyers step in, taking price to our profit, not really playing around at this level, because this is a key level that buyers need to rip through in order for us to properly break out. So as soon as I see buyers fail and they come back down, and we get a candle closure below the 21 EMA, there's no more support below me. I mean, the only other support down here is the previous is New York. So therefore, I cut the trade. And also, if we notice in pre-market, we were a bit rangy. So it just seems like we went from this consolidation to now dropping down to now consolidating in this price range. So after seeing this trade, this breakout fail, I cut the trade, cut my loser quickly, and prevented myself from taking a fairly large loss. And then once we kind of came back down here, I did not mark it up, but I do believe I bought down here to make back this loss. So I bought it down here and sold up here. And then now we're break even on the day, or a break even and plus a little green on the day. And then once I see price rejecting the daily VWAP once more, I've identified, okay, we've tested the previous New York numerous times. If you look at the higher time frames, we've also tested the daily and failed to break out above it numerous times. So we're clearly in a range. So I'm going to treat this as a range. So I get in long down here. Again, I did not mark it up, but I got in long, sold up here, made a little bit of profit, plus back my loss. And then to finalize and pass the account, I got in short once I saw that price was rejecting this zone right here of resistance. We rejected the daily VWAP. We're closed back down below the 21 EMA and the New York VWAP. And that was my sign to get in, because I'm playing this as if it was a range. I don't want to hold it for, oh, it's going to break out below the previous New York VWAP, which is the yellow line right here. I want to get out there. So that's where I took my profit. And we can just see here again, just looking at the 1 hour chart, keeping our pre-market analysis very simple. Again, we had this resistance level right here that formed a higher high, and then we broke out above it, confirming, okay, we're trending higher in the bigger time frame. We are still within this kind of like little weekly range, but we can see higher lows being built, a higher low right there, another high low right here, and also another high low right there. So it's kind of giving us a little bit of confidence that the longs may be in play, but at the same time, I mean, we're still in this range. So we want to keep that as priority. And then if we go to the second trade to where we were able to get this combine passed and across the line, we're going to see that we just had a huge sell-off going into the open. And again, in order for us to confirm that, hey, we are in a trend, we technically are trending, right? We're making lower lows, lower highs. I mean, we're just kind of getting pushed down on the 15-minute chart. And so what I'm basically doing here is, if buyers are able to get a nice candle closure above the New York Anchor VWAP and the 21 EMA, that tells me that we want a pullback to either reverse this trend or even to go lower, because this is not sustainable if we just keep going lower and lower and lower. So therefore, I decided to use the volatility in the open, take a mean reversion trade back to the daily anchored VWAP, understanding that, hey, in downtrends or uptrends, price likes to pull back. And if I'm looking at the 1 hour chart, like I mentioned earlier, we can see that these higher highs and higher lows are being built. But if we zoom in around this time where we opened up, where are we? We're in this major support zone right here. Even though we did sweep this higher low, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that we're reversing, because looking at the bigger picture, we've bounced off this area once, twice, and we broke out with strength. So clearly there's a lot of buyers, there's a lot of resting buy orders down here. So with that as confirmation, I had the confidence that price is definitely going to want to make a pullback around this support level. Obviously, it could always just like rip below it, but I want to kind of be on the right side of trend. And that's why I took this breakout trade of the New York VWAP and took my profit at the daily, because we can just as easily reject the daily VWAP right here. And then we took another trade, which is again another mean reversion. It seems like here on the higher time frame that buyers were done. We have our pullback to potentially move lower if we wanted to, and so I got into a nice short again because. And since we got a nice candle closure, I was able to kind of scalp this down back to the daily VWAP. And then surprisingly, buyers actually defended this area. And then we from here made a higher low and moved even higher. But again, I'm just kind of like, I was trading level to level, sticking to my rules. We had very, very rangy market conditions. So I really want to kind of be aggressive in taking profit. I don't want to bet that price is just going to run when it really hasn't been running all week. So therefore, I'm glad of how I traded level to level, trading off of VWAPs. I'm not going to take a trade anywhere around here. I'm not going to take a trade anywhere around here. I'm going to take a trade once I've seen price show me how it reacts to a key VWAP, being the previous day's New York VWAP, the New York VWAP, or even the start of the future sessions VWAP. And if there's two of them stacked on each other, that's even better confluence, and that's, hey, greater for us. And if we have an area of support like we had for this this second trade right here, down here to where we had that major support zone, that's also a confluence that, hey, we could possibly take a breakout play. It all depends on how things add up. And it honestly took me a while to realize that. So we can see that I hit that 3,000 target goal. This was the second account that I passed on the 30th, if I'm not mistaken. And then we can just see here our winning trade percentage was 100%, which is kind of wild. Our average winning trade was 275, but that's not accurate because I'm like adding into these positions. So it's kind of like counting each contract at a time. But you can just see here again, like it took me 3 days to pass this account. The first trade that we took on April 28th, we made $890. The second trade that we took on April 29th, we made $1,400. And then the last and final trade that we took on April 30th, we made $652. And then if we go to find the first account that I passed, which I have not yet turned into an express funded account, if this loads up, there we go. We can see that I made $3,100 in total profit. And then again, if we just look back at how many days it took me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. From something that I couldn't even have done, bro, like just looking back a few months back when I was struggling to pass these combines, I'd sit in these things for literally like a whole month and then fail and then have to reset and then spend another month in it. But now, thankfully, I've went through that and I'm now a level up and I'm able to pass these things within 3-5 days. And so this was the first combine that we passed. And if we're just looking at stats again, they're pretty interesting stats. I had a 59% winning percentage per trade. Per trade, I was winning on average $371. Again, that is kind of low just because I'm adding into these positions. And then our average losing trade is $89. But the principle still is right there. I mean, we're keeping our losers smaller than our winners, and we have nearly a 60% win rate. So that's really good and why I was able to pass this combine so quickly. It was kind of tough trading in these recent markets because of how choppy we've been, but hey, we were able to end a lot of these days green. So if we look at our net P&L for April the 21st, I made $1,200 on this first trade, and we were in this trade for a good 16 minutes. And then for the next day, we took a trade with our net P&L. We took two trades, sorry, with our net P&L at the end of the day being $247. And in the first trade, I'm guessing was a loss. We were in that for like 2 minutes. And then the second trade, I'm guessing was a win. And we were in there for about 9 minutes. And then if we look at April the 23rd, we profited $557, which is not a ton, but again, it's still progress. And then we were in this trade for 24 minutes. So going forward, in April 24th, we were down, and this is our only red day that we had on this account. to where we were down $311. Again, just keeping our losing trade smaller, significantly smaller than our green trade. And again, with this first trade, we were in it for 12 minutes. And then the second trade, we were in it for about 8 minutes. And then the last and final day, which is the day that I actually passed this account, we were in net profit of $1,300, nearly $1,400, getting this combine across the line. With the first trade, we were in it for $12. I mean, when the first trade, we were in the trade for 12 minutes. And then the second trade, we were in there for about 7 minutes. But that's pretty much it. I kept things simple and I just stuck to my process and didn't allow greed or impatience to get the best of me. And now I'm at the point to where, I could pass combines with ease. Just speaking right now at this recording, I'm $7 away from passing another one, except with top 1 futures. But speaking of top 1 futures, if you made it this far into the video, I strongly recommend utilizing their big 50% off sale that they're having right now. And you can get some nice instant funded and evaluation accounts for a very affordable cost. But if you enjoyed this video and you would like to see more of my content, make sure to follow me and I'll see you guys in the next video.